Welcome to our Mindfulness and Being Present session of our stress management workshop. Grab a seat and let's get comfortable to talk about it. So do you control your mind or does it control you? Can you even answer that question? The average person thinks between 50 and 70,000 thoughts per day. That breaks down to between 35 and 42 thoughts a minute. As you can tell, I like math. But that's a lot of thoughts in one whole minute. So now I ask, what does mindfulness mean to you? I'm sure you've heard the term before, since mindfulness is a popular buzzword in the wellness industry right now. I encourage you to pause this video and write down what you think of when you hear the word mindfulness. Welcome back. Here's mindfulness defined. It's a noun, and it means the quality or state of being conscious or aware of something. A mental state achieved by focusing one's awareness on the present moment while calmly acknowledging and accepting one's feelings, thoughts, and bodily sensations, used as a therapeutic technique. Let's ponder that. When you wrote what you thought of when thinking of mindfulness, you may have used words like awareness, present, or paying attention. Jon Kabat-Zinn, who is credited with bringing the concept of mindfulness to our society, defines it as the awareness that arises from paying attention on purpose in the present moment and non-judgmentally. Ding, ding, ding. So essentially, mindfulness is awareness from paying attention to the present moment. Well, how often do we do that? I want you to note from Kabat-Zinn's definition that he also says on purpose and non-judgmentally. On purpose means we are aware that we're aware. This is what makes mindfulness a practice, something that we do, and we'll get back to that. Non-judgmentally, that means that during our practice of paying attention to something, we just accept it. We don't attach positive or negative emotions. We don't praise or criticize. It just is what it is. Mindfulness is paying attention to our experiences in this moment in a caring and curious way. It takes practice. As we practice mindfulness, we also cultivate a gentle, kind, and loving approach to noticing our experiences. I want to note here that mindfulness and meditation are not the same thing, but they are siblings. What we are going to focus on in this session is the act of paying attention, which is truly what mindfulness is. Meditation is more focused, but incorporates paying attention on purpose. So that's why they're siblings. We cover mindfulness first to understand the concept and then apply it to meditation techniques in another session. So why is mindfulness a thing? Why is it a big deal in the wellness industry right now? First, we don't really pay attention to things like we should anymore. For some reason, someone thought multitasking was a good characteristic to have, and then we became scattered and less productive and stressed out and unhappy. Second, because we became scattered and less productive and stressed out and unhappy, scientists actually did research to figure out that the simple act of learning to pay attention reduced these feelings and came with some pretty powerful benefits. There's a lot of research out there now to support why we should practice mindfulness. And here's just a summary that I've kind of accumulated for you. We are generally happier when we focus on the present moment because we're engaged in it and we have a better memory of it then too. We increase our emotional tolerance and flexibility. Mindfulness promotes relaxation. Mindfulness reduces our automatic knee-jerk reactions so we can respond better and maybe more appropriately. It cultivates self-compassion. We observe and change how we treat ourselves and others. It helps us to reconnect to our emotions and physical sensations because we're actually paying attention to them. It increases our gratitude. Our habitual patterns of paying only partial attention reduces our memory and produces more negative than positive feelings. So paying attention produces more positive feelings for us. And we have a choice about what we pay attention to. You can direct and focus your attention, which empowers you and gives you a feeling of control in your life. So now you know why multitasking is out and monotasking is in. So let's talk for a minute about what having some choices in what we pay attention to means. There are two different types of attention. First is our bottom-up way of attention. This is essentially choiceless attention, which is hardwired. Basically our stress response, which is also called fight, flight, or freeze. It happens automatically and reflexively. It is also the result of habit formation, which results in us being on autopilot, so it's built right into our neural pathways. For example, from a mindfulness perspective, think of your drive home from work. How much do you really have to pay attention to it? You've done it so many times, you probably hardly have to pay attention to it at all. If you're like me and have to make an extra stop or a different stop somewhere on your way home, you actually have to remind yourself to do it. I put a sticky note on my steering wheel sometimes. Or I've pulled into my driveway and realized that I've completely forgotten to go to that place. We've just created a habit, and it's so ingrained in our brain that it's essentially choiceless. The second kind of attention is called top-down, and it involves choice. Our prefrontal lobes allow us to make conscious choices, and this type of attention is often used when we are learning or doing something new. So in keeping with our driving example, how much attention do you pay when you're driving somewhere you've never been before? You likely look at a map or use GPS. You pay attention to street names and which way you're turning and maybe landmarks and even addresses. And I don't know about you, but for some reason, I have to turn down the radio or even turn it off when I'm driving somewhere that's completely new or where I have to pay attention. So then we have that top-down attention. We have the choice to make that attention. When we work on breaking habits, such as changing our eating or drinking habits, we shift to this top-down form of attention as we create new neural pathways in our brain. When it comes to paying attention, we all have to practice at it. That's just the way our world is now. Our overactive, wandering, autopilot mind is like a monkey swinging through the trees from branch to branch. In Buddhism, this type of scattered thinking is often called our monkey mind. When we're stressed and our head is overflowing with thoughts, our monkey mind heedlessly moves from one thought to the next, to the next, to the next. Remember, we have 35 to 42 thoughts per minute. And you likely don't even realize you have all these scattered thoughts or a monkey mind. We're just so used to it. And our thoughts tend to focus on the negative, especially if we're stressed. In a study done by Jack Canfield, he determined that children hear over 400 negative words per day, and they hear less than 20 positive words per day. We're programmed to seek out things that may be a threat to our survival, so we focus on the negative. Start to pay attention to your tone, to your thoughts, to your language, and just notice. Now, we can't make all these thoughts stop completely, but we become more aware that they're happening. Once we gain this awareness, we can shift the substance of our thought patterns to positive ones instead of negative ones. And once you do that, that's when you start to see and feel the benefits to a mindfulness practice. It allows you to find a calm space. It allows you to find the positive things. You just rein in that monkey. All right. So let's talk about ways to be present. So first, you can literally just pay attention to what you're doing, what's happening around you. Set aside time or certain situations to actually notice what is going on around you. You can listen when people are talking to you, give them your attention. This will also help with your communication skills because you'll actually remember what they said and make better connections with people. Make certain tasks a practice in mindfulness to the point of ridiculousness, like grocery shopping or showering or doing the dishes. In my book, Understanding Self-Care, I provide 3 mindfulness practices like this and describe them in detail. Use what the Buddhists call a beginner's mind. An approach where you see something or approach something like you've never done it, seen it, heard it before, and like you're relearning it. Be in this moment and no other. Don't let time from the past or future steal from today. Notice the time shift and come back to paying attention. Ruminating about the past doesn't change anything, nor does it help us unless we use that information to make changes now. Worrying about the future is fruitless because we don't know what's going to happen in the future. Think of the plans you made and then COVID-19 hit. All we can do is take steps today to meet a goal or plans that we want to achieve in the future. Start to practice monotasking. Every time you change tasks, it takes your brain 20 minutes to fully focus on what you're now doing. If you change tasks often, you're losing productivity and quality in what you're doing. Put the phone down. Take 1 or 2 pictures if you need to, and then pay attention to the moment. Things like your kids playing sports, a concert, or whale watching. Mindfulness research shows that we don't really remember these events because we didn't actually watch them with our eyes. We watched them through a lens. We also don't remember them as well because we weren't giving them our full attention. Make time for conversations. Face-to-face is best so we can engage all 5 senses and really connect. Go for a walk and don't listen to music. It's a hard one for me. Pay attention to what's going on around you. Engage your senses and you'll be safer too. Do yoga, tai chi, or qigong. All of these practices at times require you to pay attention so that you connect to the present moment. Try doing a balancing pose in yoga and thinking about your grocery list. You'll likely fall out of the pose. Watch TV or a movie, and that's it. Don't be on the phone or the computer. Again, this helps with memory, and we enjoy the experience more because we actually paid attention to it. The characters, the plot, the scene. You'd be really surprised what you've missed in entertainment while you're not fully paying attention to it. Play a game. What better way to connect with someone? Engage in a hobby such as knitting, sewing, photography, coloring. And practice mindful eating. Eat at the table. Put your fork down between bites. Notice the taste and texture of your food. And chew a lot. It's better for your digestion. Be aware of your body and how you move through space. Yoga can help with this. You can use progressive relaxation or other types of relaxation modalities, which is beyond the scope of this workshop, but you can find a lot that help with sleep issues, and that just really connects you to your body so that you're aware. When you're fully engaged in activity, you're in a state of flow. That's why when you're doing something you're passionate about in the middle of a stressful day or week, it feels so good. You forget about everything else. It's because that stream of thoughts, your chatty mind, just finally quiets down. In our yoga practice for this session, we'll practice being mindful. And how does yoga help us be mindful? Well, we connect with our breath, which we pay attention to in this present moment. We focus on what we're doing, especially to reduce injury and maybe not fall over. We notice where we feel it, especially when it's hard. We notice what we feel, especially when we're working, and we acknowledge feelings that come up, and that's okay. My 500-hour training certification for yoga was through a company called Yoga Fit. And Yoga Fit have concepts that leads to mindfulness. So the concepts are breathing, feeling, listening to the body, letting go of competition, letting go of judgment, letting go of expectations, and staying in the present moment. That just captures the essence of mindfulness. Before we finish, I just want to address something that gets questioned a lot in my classes on mindfulness. Again, the past and the future. Many people struggle with the fact that if we are always in the present moment, then we don't remember what we did in the past, and we can't really learn and grow from it, and we won't remember what to do in the future. You won't be present every single moment of every single day. But the more time you spend being mindful will create more time for you to learn, to grow, and to plan your future. We can still think about the past and reminisce and have good memories and learn from our experiences to apply it to the present and to the future. It's when we ruminate in the past that it becomes a stuck thought pattern, and that's not necessarily healthy. We do need to think about the future to allow for our development and growth. If we didn't set goals or appointments or make plans, then we'd just be happy and calm but floating around with no real direction. We'd have no real purpose. So remember that you can have a plan for the future, but you need to take steps now, in this moment, to get there. And that's where mindfulness comes in. So I'm going to give you some homework assignments. At least once this week, go for a mindful walk. No earbuds, 10 minutes minimum, and just pay attention to everything around you. During the next week, notice when you're aware of what you're doing and notice when you're not aware of what you're doing. And just feel free to journal about it and how it felt to pay attention to that. And then pay attention to your breath this week. It's a very mindful practice. We do have another session on breathing techniques. Notice when you're breathing shallow, maybe notice when you're breathing deeply, or do you even notice that you're breathing at all? Feel free to get your journal out and just write short entries each day about how present you were that day. And it'll help you with your practice. It'll help you get used to paying attention and being aware and what that feels like. So get out there, be present, be mindful.